Hi guys, my name is Akshay Iyengar and I am presenting the Adobe hack of 2013. To give some background, Adobe is a software company that sells applications to help with designs, photos, and other services. Its clients comprise of Apple, Coca-Cola, ESPN, and other companies. There are some details of the attack that we can talk about. The attack happened at around October 2013. Stole about 3 billion customer credit card information, plus some of the login information they had. More than that amount was discovered to be compromised across the various Adobe accounts. So to kind of give the motivation of this hack impacts users across various platforms. As you can imagine, passwords hacked on those platforms can lead to access on other platforms and websites where users use similar passwords or if not the same password. The attacker wanted to also have credit card information, which could lead to massive fraud across banks, which would create so many alerts and area codes. Overall, we can attribute the motivation of the attacker to be one of malice and information. And kind of to back this up, we can also see that this attacker was responsible for the LexisNexis hack that happened this year, which evidences the infamy of the attacks the attacker is trying to create. Into why we as comp students need to study these attacks is that we need to understand the patterns of repeated attacks, how attacks can lead to various platform deficiencies, and how organizations such as Adobe responds to these infamous and malicious attacks. And that's something we will talk about later in the video. So you might be wondering why Steve Jobs is a part of my background. Well, he does play a big role because he was a client of Adobe. So there was a lawsuit against Adobe at this time, and the people stated that it didn't adhere to its policy, something that Steve Jobs also evidenced that it didn't do. Adobe's policy reads as follows. It uses industry-leading security engineering processes. Adobe adheres to the latest best practice policies regarding online security. Steve Jobs explicitly rants at Adobe for failing to adhere to this policy and how Adobe Flash had bugs and software insecurities that could mess up the Macs. He goes on to depict how its Creative Cloud doesn't effectively use industry-leading encryption tech to protect our members' data, something that we will see with the credit card info and login info. So to even give more background, here's Adobe's password hacks. In the early 2000s, Adobe Reader had a flawless system to access the files of computers on its clients. In 2009, Adobe also had a backdoor open, while in 2010, Adobe Flash had a bug that gave access to hackers. And in 2012, the year before this attack, Adobe's internal server was attacked. You can see now why Adobe has a controversial history with security. The CSO, Brad, said the security breach was inevitably going to happen with a growing and transitioning company of this size. In the same year, we saw LexisNexis get hacked along with Bradstreet and other places. Snowden also leaked confidential information this same year. Was the year of hacks and revelation of top secret information. Also, keep in mind that Adobe was also transitioning their company from desktop licensing to SaaS, a growing market. Now we kind of want to wonder why did crime happen? How did this happen when also other hacks are trending? Was the security just not up? The attacker found a server that was supposed to be decommissioned, and it was used as a backdoor to bypass the firewalls and get into the internal servers. The attacker was able to get the customer information from one of the internal server databases. He got the usernames and passwords, but the passwords and credit card numbers were encrypted through a single block cipher model that didn't use salts. The attacker was also able to find a commonality in the passwords in the single block ciphertext encryption. And that was through the chosen plain text model to crack the passwords when there were several similar groupings of ciphertext. Through the internal servers, the attacker access source code of some of the other platforms such as Photoshop and ColdFusion. The records that the hacker accessed in these internal servers were in low and weak security spots for these servers compared to the main server. Adobe's main code is also said to be very old, which led to a little bit of temporary updates as fixes, but they were mainly just band-aids that were not the right solutions. So after this attack happened, there were many consequences. Mainly, we talk about 3 specific categories of problems. The first is Adobe getting its reputation hurt and losing millions of customer information through this attack. The second is the consumers and the clients that are both affected. Over 38 million accounts totally suffered losing its credit card information, plus usernames and passwords. Because of this, people were forced to change passwords across many of the platforms like Facebook. Around 15 states mainly dealt with this issue, including NC. Also, some of the clients like Apple were forced to deal with the backlash that Adobe caused them because of its harmful brand rep at this time. Finally, with the tertiary consequence, there is a lack of trust between Adobe, the people, its clients, and even the government. People would lose faith in Adobe as this event and disaster repeated over time. The governor, Roy Cooper, made a statement on privacy and hacks after Adobe went through its settlement. Don't forget that the data was also stolen from Adobe's platforms regarding its source code. There is a possibility that people could pirate Adobe's application and sell it online, hurting Adobe and also taking away its competitive edge at the same time. So in response to this, Adobe had to go back and reset the hash passwords, all of them, regardless of if there was a possible hack or not. They also had to notify credit card companies of the damage to make sure the clients had the secure information. In addition, they created a role, a C-level role for Arkin to maintain IT and security principles with regards to the servers and databases containing the critical information. In conclusion, there are many flaws with this hack, starting from the main code itself. Adobe also needs to do a better job with its transparency and honesty with its promises to maintain its principles of security. If this attack keeps happening, what should Adobe do to fix within the system? The organizational structure and hierarchy to maintain security levels with oversight and protection. So kind of the real truth we're kind of getting down to is who deserves the blame. And we really just gotta say it starts with the CEO. The CEO's promise and mission to drive the company and its lack of oversight of the situation is one of the contributing factors to this hack. A company is only as strong as its leader. So here's what the company tried to do for leadership. Like I said, they promoted Arkin to a C-level position for maintaining the organizational level of security. So after all of this, we see that Adobe has kind of bucked up, and we see that the last hack they had was in 2019 with only 7.5 million emails. This one is comparably much less than the infamous 2013 hack, and there was less loss of financial information related to Adobe at this point. Adobe was also more forthcoming and transparent with their information and its releases to fix bugs. The biggest lesson I took away is that the hacks may get past the secure system, but it's how the company responds and make sure its stakeholders understand that defines the company. Also, it's time that Adobe moves on and kind of make sure that their security is at the same level as some of these newer tech startup companies. And here are some of my sources that I went through. And now that I've learned from the Adobe hack, I just wanted to discuss a few questions that may generate discussion. With the lack of making sure servers are decommissioned or are available to right parties, what can be done to make sure companies are in check with maintaining servers? My second question is, how big of a role should government play with security rules with companies? We saw that Roy Cooper had a stance after the Adobe crisis, and with the big tech company power, how much oversight can the government have into this? We saw that Adobe also had a past history of bugs and flaws. So how do companies and clients trust their products after a repeated history of leaks? And that applies to any company. Lastly, how does the organizational hierarchy adapt to security hacks? Something we saw Adobe do is create the C-level suite position. But many companies also have a different way of organizing based on hacks. So these are just some questions I would love for my audience to ponder upon. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation on Adobe.